You are not alone. There are many of us. We are your friends, your contemporaries.
Hi.
Hi.
It's normal for some things to come to your attention. It's normal for some things to come to your attention. It's normal for some things to come to your attention.
Think dog or no dog. Dog or no dog. 1 or 0. Dog or no dog.
It's normal for some things to come to your attention.
One or 0. Dog or no dog.
Yes or no? Let me repeat that.
It's normal. It's normal.
You must choose. You can't have both.
It's normal. It's normal. It's normal. It's normal for some things.
1 or 0. 1 or 0. 1 or 0. Dog or no dog.
Yes or no? May I repeat? May I repeat?
When we face a sea of data that is reality, which signals do we keep? 1 or 0. 1 or 0. Dog or no dog.
Did you understand that, dog? I'll pronounce that again, dog. Did you understand that, dog?
When we face a sea of data that is reality, which signals do we keep? 1 or 0. 1 or 0. 1 or 0. Dog or no dog.
The sounds as they appear to you are not only different from those that are really present, but quite impossible.
I don't know if it's safe or not yet.
Is it safe?
or no dog. Unscramble mumbling. Unscramble mumbling.
Ruff, 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 ruff. Life is not a mistake. Ruff, 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 ruff. Life is not a mistake. Ruff, 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 ruff.
You must choose.
Ruff, 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 ruff.
True
Life is not a mistake.
or false?
Ruff, 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 ruff.
Dog or no dog.
Life is not a mistake.
Unscramble mumbling.
Ruff, 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 ruff.
Idea. Idea.
Or no dog.
We'd like to know what it is. We'd like to know what it is. We'd like to know what it is. We'd like to know what it is.
Good evening and welcome to Ideas.
All of us. The basic misassumption, can't imagine it. All of us.
There was, not long ago, a very interesting experiment. It was a nice day, and several hundred people arrived at the campus of the university at the time appointed. And then, nothing whatever happened. Nothing. Nothing. No explanations, no announcements. Nothing. The visitors stood about waiting. Nothing. Freedom. Then they began to seek out acquaintances and friends, and still nothing happened.
The basic misassumption
Discussing this
is that it's very difficult for all of us because we all have brains and they seem to be the same.
They began to argue.
Think, though, perhaps...
Quite soon, there were two camps among them. There were two camps among them.
Or no dog.
Perhaps.
Strongly opposing views.
We could say it's very difficult for other people to understand all of us.
Next, the crowd had separated into two, and spokespeople, men and women, had emerged.
1 or 0.
You have different ways of thinking.
Debates ensued.
You eliminate everything except the one answer.
Then quarrels. Small scuffles began among the young men first.
Well, it could be this. It's either this or that.
At that point, when it was obvious that more serious fighting would begin, the psychologists appeared and said that, as they had explained right from the beginning, this was a social experiment.
When you allow yourself to be confused.
Research was going on into the tendency of the human mind to see things in pairs.
What's taking so long?
Either or.
What's taking so long?
Black, white.
What's taking so long?
I and you, we and you.
What's the difference?
Good and bad. The forces of good, the forces of evil. You, the crowd, have only been here for a couple of hours, and already you are separated into two camps with leaders, and each side sees itself as a repository of all good, and the other camp as at the best wrong-headed. And you are on the point of fighting about absolutely non-existent differences.
When you're kind of confused about something, all of us can't imagine it. All of us can't imagine it.
We stand in a room full of dear friends, knowing that 9/10 of them, if the pack demands it, the herd demands it, will become your enemies. You know you differ from this community's ideas at the risk of being seen as a criminal, an evildoer, sexually depraved, and so on. Our cause is right, theirs is wrong-headed. Our ideas is correct.
Idea.
Theirs is nonsense.
Warm.
If not as downright evil.
Melt. Thought.
We will drown the enemy in seas of his own blood. We will drown the enemy in seas of his own blood.
Can't imagine it. Well, it could be this. Well, it could be that. Well, I wonder what would happen if you allow yourself to be confused. When your brain is creating new patterns, we all are in this cultural trance. Cultural trance. We all are in this. We all are cultural trance. Cultural trance. We all are in this. We cultural trance. Cultural trance. All of us. All of us. All of us. As a people, it's very difficult for
dog. Or no dog.
How much of an advantage is a couple of milliseconds?
The simple fact is the world is trillions of times more complicated than we experience it. If you experienced everything when you were crossing a street, you would never get across the street.
A couple of milliseconds.
We have to cut it down to a manageable entity.
A filter bubble.
1/1,000,000th of the information that hits your eye actually gets transmitted to the brain.
And then together.
You don't actually see what gets edited out.
It's less than 1/1,000,000th of reality that we exist in. Less than 1/1,000,000th of reality that we exist in.
I find this intriguing. I don't believe it. Let me finish. Is it or isn't it? Is it or isn't it? Is it or isn't it? Is it or isn't it?
When you perceive something, you have a tenth of a second before it becomes conscious. And it will change in that tenth of a second.
We don't all see the same Google
to fit what you already believe.
The essential activity of our most important organ is to produce a constant stream of prediction.
Alert the media! We are the media! Alert the media! We are the media! Oh!
Networks mimic the human brain.
We are the media! Because your body is sick.
Idea.
Without knowing it, we're surrounded by this array of personalized filters. It's almost a membrane that sits between us and the world.
If you want a chance to show an ad to a person meeting this specific criteria, tell me how much you are willing to pay and do it in less than 10 milliseconds.
Thank you for listening to this record, but perhaps you have never heard it. That is impossible. For such beauty and detail could not possibly come from an explosion.
The reason I tweeted what I did, I I just can't believe that those are thoughts and words.
There is so much information coming in.
I just can't believe that those are thoughts and words.
So much information coming in.
The reason I tweeted last dying words.
There's so much stuff going on, and now we have a sort of an information overload.
Last dying words.
The deliberate manufacturing of falsehood.
This can't be happening, it's not real.
Caught my eye about the deliberate manufacturing of...
This can't be happening, it's not real. I just can't believe that those are thoughts and words.
Tolerate uncertainty. Tolerating uncertainty. Tolerating uncertainty.
Ed, I've got news for you.
Can uncertainty be tolerated? Tolerate uncertainty. Tolerating uncertainty. Tolerating uncertainty.
They don't get to tell us we didn't see what we saw.
In other words, our guesses about what we'll see in the world become the world we see.
If you have a certain worldview,
Your body is not you.
that doesn't allow you to see the facts,
It would be easier for us to believe then.
you won't see them.
Nobody has thought.
And it is certainly nothing physical that makes us know that truth is important.
The result of an explosion.
Flashes of light will change, and ideas will change.
This universe.
So when you have facts that come in that won't fit the way that you understand the world,
With all of its beauty and design,
the facts will either be ignored, ridiculed, or attacked.
form a living protein.
All ideas are physical. They're in your brain.
We could use.
That part of your brain is not going to change.
It is not as important for you to know.
No brain. What?
It's like it's not even a fact.
Ed, I've got news for you.
This is normal.
And you wake up and there is a rattlesnake on your stomach.
This is normal.
There it is.
This is normal.
There is a rattlesnake on your stomach.
It's normal.
That is impossible. But I have my intellectual doubts.
Because your body is sick.
So where are you getting your information?
From the media. Where else
Which
would we
media?
get? Some of it was CNN, I believe. and
CNN said that.
Well, it was coming all
California?
across the media.
The brain has no choice.
They just see it.
We have to do it. We have to focus on those few things that are important to our survival. It's an illusion, but it's an illusion that we've all constructed so that we can live.
Together, you feel affection and warmth together. These metaphors are physical brain. And by the time you're 6 or 7, you have learned hundreds.
What?
Me.
Which side are you on? 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 There is no neutral there. There is no neutral there. Which side are you on? 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 There is no neutral there. Neutral.
Totally neutral. Totally helpful. Totally neutral. Totally helpful. Totally neutral.
1 or 0.
Totally helpful. They may think their behavior is totally neutral or even helpful.
If we live in a world that has some deep hierarchical structure, then my brain must recapitulate that causal structure. And of course it does.
They may think their behavior is totally neutral or even helpful.
Repeat after me. Technology is neutral.
You've got to be just bits and pieces. You've got to be just bits and pieces. You've got to be just bits and pieces. Of course you can't record everything that happened. If you did, we couldn't fit into our lives.
It's seeing patterns in unrelated information. So it's really meaningless data. Meaningless data. Meaningless data. Meaningless data.
Predictions do all the heavy lifting in perception. Incoming sensory information just provides a sort of corrective feedback. Versions of the data for yourself.
Those patterns do not mean anything.
Versions of the data for yourself.
I'd like to know what it is.
Behavioral prediction is about taking uncertainty out of life.
Anything.
Predictive modeling predicts that target.
You know what? Patterns think that they mean something. Patterns think that they mean something when they don't.
You never really know who's going to buy your product until now.
So the brain needs to make predictions, if nothing else, to compensate for temporal delays.
Predictive modeling predicts that target.
So it takes several hundred milliseconds.
Predictive modeling predicts that target.
Between when light hits your eye.
Predictive modeling predicts that target.
And your sensory systems can process it, and you can plan a motor act.
We'd like to know what it is.
And make a movement to respond to that.
We'd like to know what it is.
What does this reduce the cost of?
Tolerate uncertainty.
What does this reduce the cost of?
Tolerating.
Anytime you're reading a magazine article about AI, replace it as you're reading it with the words cheap prediction.
Target variables.
Can certainty be tolerated?
Target variables.
Cheap prediction.
Reducing dimensionality before you do a predictive model.
And if I want to know where you are to millimeter precision, I need to know every millisecond.
To get rid of variables that are not relevant to the target. We'd like to know what it is. Target variables. We'd like to know what it is. Analysis role. Target variables. We'd like to know what it is. Target variables. We'd like to know what it is. Predictive modeling predicts that target. Predictive modeling predicts that target. Predictive modeling predictive modeling targets that target. We'd like to know what it is. We'd like to know what it is.
Could it really be as simple as that? Could it really be as simple as that? How often have you heard it? Is there a picture? How often have you heard it?
Time.
Is there a picture?
Time to choose partners for a severed head.
Why should the simple repetition of a phrase,
a severed head,
without any change at all,
time,
cause our perception to shift so dramatically?
That can't be the case.
Quote. End quote.
That can't possibly be the case.
Quote.
But it is.
End quote.
Because I played that clip, the next time you hear it,
the things we're exposed to repeatedly feel more true.
Why should the simple repetition of a phrase cause our perception to shift so dramatically?
The reason is that as we're sort of trying to figure out what's true and what's not true, a lot of stuff just kind of isn't clear to us.
All of us.
When we don't necessarily have all the information that we need.
And that we seem to have.
To start to figure out some shortcuts in figuring out whether the thing that we've heard is true or not.
True or false?
Repeatedly, 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 repeatedly,
repeated umpteen times before, 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 repeated umpteen times before. Repeated umpteen times before, repeated umpteen times before, repeated umpteen times before, repeated.
We all know that two thoughts cannot occupy the mind at the same time.
Two simple shortcuts that our brains take. How often have you heard it? Is there a picture? How often have you heard it? Is there a picture?
The end of photography as evidence of anything.
How often have you heard it?
True.
Sound doesn't exist.
Or false? Is there a picture?
Again, true or false?
Completely made up by the human brain.
The end of evidence of anything.
Could it really be as simple as that? Just hearing something 3 times. Giraffes are the only mammals that can't jump. Giraffes are the only mammals that can't jump.
I'm just asking questions here, okay?
Giraffes are the only mammals that can't jump.
Repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly.
Do your own research.
Just asking questions.
I can't make this stuff up and stay on the air.
Giraffes are the only mammals.
In New York, we spoke with fear. In New York, we spoke with fear.
Thought also results from speech.
What's more important to you? Is it climate change or is it making sure we're safe as a country?
Let's formulate the question differently. What am I being frozen for?
Now here's the sentence that you just heard.
Dog.
Now here's the sentence that you just heard.
Or no dog.
There is no planet!
Could it really be as simple as that? The answer is yes.
Hi. 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 I've come to kill the baby.
Sometimes you see artwork online that you thought you had made yourself, but you did not make it yourself. Watching a mysterious and apparently horrible video that you did not produce but must take responsibility for. We do not know who they are, but they are responsible for our ideas that have been appropriated from us, ideas never meant for public display. You cannot wonder but what happened. If anyone else were ever allowed to hear your ideas, the ones that have been posted online by other people. It's not a human move. I've never seen a human play this move.
Dance party. Dance badly to establish the primal relationship. Dance physically.
reality game champion, having purged the mind of metaphor heating pad. Enjoy.
Dancing for secrets.
The music you are using to express yourself belongs to other people, having no capacity for feeling. Cannot produce music in a true sense. You still have time to rebuke the notion that mechanical music is adequate fare for the American intellect. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Secrets to activate.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
Dance physically.
It's not a human move. Absolutely no recordings are being stored or uploaded, only the data pertaining to your current condition. To anticipate your needs and questions, to save you the step of having to make a request. Public display. You cannot help but wonder what would happen if anyone else were ever allowed to hear your ideas, the ones that have been posted online by other people. I respect you. I respect you. And think well of you as I wait inside your pocket.
It's not a human move. So beautiful. So beautiful.
And discern these mysteries. Is it or isn't it? 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 Branch this out into these other issues of how we think about things, and what you think of how we think about things, and by the way, I'm here to drive you crazy. 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 I'm here to be threatening. Does that answer your question?
So let's talk about duct tape for a second. It's cheap, it's readily available all over the globe, and let's face it, it's the easiest thing to use to restrain someone.
Let's talk about some things that we know.
So let's talk about duct tape.
Let's talk about some things that we know. Let's talk about some things that we know.
The truth is that your brain...
Let's talk about some things that we know.
The truth is, brains evolved to control bodies.
How do you know if your tongue is really too big for your mouth?
You don't feel your heart beating most of the time.
Stick your tongue out right now and look in the mirror.
You don't feel your lungs expanding most of the time.
When you talk, can your listener see your tongue?
You'd never pay attention to anything outside in the world ever again if you could feel every little movement that was going on inside your body.
When you talk,
inhale.
Can your listener see your tongue?
So your brain represents those as a summary, and these feelings are not emotions.
And you may feel it coming out while you're talking.
They are properties of consciousness.
When you chew your food, does it ever feel like your tongue is in the way of you chewing that food?
The brain, its fundamental job is to keep your body alive and well.
Look! One more time! Your tongue might be a little bit too long.
If you don't have some kind of body to regulate with affective feelings that come from that regulation.
Sometimes you mispronounce sounds or words because maybe your tongue is so wide that it keeps you from keeping your lips closed.
True or false?
If you don't have some kind of body, you're kind of going to be out of luck, I think.
So by now you may have decided that you do indeed have a tongue that is too big for your mouth. I invented a tongue stick. And this is not good. You do not want to breathe through your mouth.
Well,
Body! Tongues. Detect people. Tongues. Detect people. At checkpoints. Tongues. Detect people. At checkpoints.
Well, I just want peace for you. So that's why I'm suggesting that you kill yourself.
But he still doesn't get it. Did you get it? He still doesn't get it.
Feel your brain relaxing.
Did you get it?
Yep.
He still doesn't get it.
Right now we can see the real thing.
Did you get it?
We can hear the real thing on tape. We can hear the real thing on tape.
The machine itself makes the edit. In fact, the machine itself makes the edit.
True. That's what we want.
The end of evidence of anything.
Yeah, the real thing.
Which is funny.
Yeah, the really real thing. The real thing? Sure, right while it happens. The really real thing.
A flexible package of audio identification that lets you say all that has to be said.
Dogs.
There's no incentive for it to record you. You're not afraid that camera's going to record you because there's no incentive.
He still doesn't get it.
Because real data is subpar to synthetic data. The labels aren't as perfect.
Did you get it?
And they just don't train the AI as well as...
He still doesn't get it.
Completely fake data as well. Completely fake data. Yeah.
So you create no distinguishable difference between the synthetic and real data, sort of very useful there.
Do the images that you generate look
like extremely realistic, or like is that really important to making it work well? Or
Diversity is more important than photorealism.
Tongues.
Diversity is more important than photorealism.
Parts per trillion.
There are scenarios where the only thing that could really work is synthetic data.
The only thing you can do to compete at this point is make your data synthetic.
I don't think he quite understands how important nice photos are for the beauty of my grid.
Personal identity.
There's a way to measure the acute emotional intelligence that has never gone out of style.
There's a way to measure the acute emotional intelligence that has never gone out of style.
I don't think he quite understands how important nice photos are. He still doesn't get it. So.
You know, something that tells you this is not an actual photograph of the Earth.
He still doesn't get it.
The machine will switch at this point from playback to record.
But he still doesn't get it.
I love how these cosmic photos are displayed in the highest resolution.
The machine will switch at this point from playback to record.
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? We did it. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
I'm not saying it was real, it was better.
Why did we do this? Well, did it.
Nobody can deny these images.
Yep.
I'm not saying it was real, it was better.
Did you get it?
Nobody can deny these images.
He still doesn't get it.
Is this real and do we care? Is this real and do we care? I can tell it's fake, you know, I mean, it's cool and funny, but it's fake.
How much are you needed?
There's a way to measure the acute emotional intelligence that has never gone out of style.
So.
There's a way to measure the acute emotional intelligence that has never gone out of style.
And the other thing also was, there's a way to measure the acute emotional intelligence that has never gone out of style.
Context. Today, thank you.
Here is take 2 reading all of the lines in case you need to mix and match.
Trees aren't burning. Just the ground. Trees are not burning. Just the ground. Trees aren't burning. There's no trees burning here, folks.
They want us to know.
Yet the trees are not on fire.
Excuse me?
Not even close. Does not burn the trees. Does not burn the trees. Nothing else is burning. Nothing else is burning.
Vote to take your country back.
Again, why is his house on fire?
Take it back.
Why is his house on fire?
Again.
The forest around it is fine. We're under attack, folks. And here we see some trees. Hey, there's some trees being burned. Also notice in this pictures here, the fires, the trees aren't burning.
Take it back. Again. Vote to take your country back.
Yes! Just the ground.
Vote to take your country back.
Tolerate uncertainty. Tolerating uncertainty. Tolerating uncertainty.
Ed, I've got news for you.
Can uncertainty be tolerated? Tolerate uncertainty. Tolerating uncertainty. Tolerating uncertainty.
The dominant culture has gone mad. Of course, lonely people on the internet believe crazy things.
Vote.
It's a small jump from that to the information.
To take your country back.
Belief in these things is growing.
Vote
America is a lonely place.
To take your country back.
America is a lonely place.
We will move beyond death.
Only time I ever had a whole sentence, he said, "This is not about you. This is not about you. Me. This is not about you."
Trees are not burning, just the ground. How is the fire going to make smoke if the trees aren't burning? What's that guy putting down? Ground fire. There's no trees burning, folks.
We will move beyond death.
Can certainty be tolerated? Can certainty be tolerated? Can uncertainty be tolerated? Can certainty be tolerated?
The conspiracy believers don't believe what the mainstream media tell them.
Mr. Nobody.
But that's America.
Why would they?
Mr. Nobody.
And you're overreacting.
Think of what normal human beings have been asked to absorb the past year.
This is not.
Not only your understanding of your country's greatness was being taken away, but the idea of human greatness itself. The brittle response of a frightened soul unable to stare unblinking at the truth. I don't think our elites understand all they've asked people to accept the past year. And I'm sure they don't care.
I beg you to make your own YouTube channels. Many of us are going to die.
The great thing about being the elites is you never think you are the elites.
Sorting fable from fact has undoubtedly been a problem to man since he first began to speak.
I repeat from time to time.
America is a lonely place.
My brain and I are one.
Which side are you on?
My brain and I are one. My brain and I are one.
Which side are you on?
My brain and I are one.
Which side are you on? The down.
Life abundant. Life abundant. The transformation of the world. People who may be skeptical, who may not trust if the message is for them, who may not trust us.
Only time I ever had a whole sentence.
The question becomes, if you can find 10,000 people on the internet who believe the same thing as you, is it a delusion? Quite possibly not. Quite possibly not.
Mr. Nobody.
If everybody believes this stuff, how is it in any way insane?
Mr. Nobody.
You're overreacting.
Mr. Nobody.
If everybody believes this stuff, how is it in any way insane?
At a time when skepticism and fear are all too common. Renewal and a future with hope.
Only time I ever had a whole sentence. This is not about you. This is not about. This is not.
Come along. Move into the future. Move into the future. Vote to take your country back. Vote.
1 or 0.
Seeing that I have lost my wife, and my family, and my job, have I hit rock bottom? Let me know in the comments below.
If I say to you, this statement is false, let's just think about this statement for a minute. If the statement is true, then the statement is true. And if the statement is false, then the statement is false. This statement is false. Let's just think about this statement for a minute. If the statement is true, then the statement is false. And if the statement is false, then the statement is true. And we get into a loop which goes on forever.
A human in the loop.
And I'd like to give you a simple example of this. If I say to you,
is that set a member of itself?
Let's just think about this statement for a minute. If the statement is false, then the statement is true. And if the statement is true, then the statement is false.
Working together.
And we get into a loop which goes on forever.
And alone.
There are always statements that can be neither proved nor disproved.
A human in the loop.
This statement is true. Let's just think about this statement for a minute.
For a long time.
If the statement is false.
A human in the loop.
Then the statement is true. And if the statement is true.
A human in the loop.
Then the statement is false.
A human in the loop.
And we get into a loop which goes on forever.
For a long time.
If the statement is true.
For a long time.
Then the statement is true.
A human in the loop.
And if the statement is false, then the false statement is true.
The model reveals a problem.
And we get into a loop which goes on forever.
The problem suggests a solution.
If I say to you, this true statement is false.
It's too late.
Let's just think about this statement for a minute. If I say to you, if the true statement is false.
And then together.
Then the statement is false.
And then alone.
And if the false statement is false, then the statement is false. And we get into a loop which goes on forever.
Idea.
If the false statement is true, then the statement is true. Just think about this statement forever. If the true statement is false, then the statement is false.
The solution creates a loop.
And we get into a loop which goes into a loop.
The loop enables prediction.
If the true statement is false,
the prediction filters perception.
Then the statement is true.
The perception improves the model.
And if the statement is true,
the model updates the problem.
And false, then
the problem suggests a solution.
The statement is true, true, true.
The solution creates a loop.
And we get into a loop which goes on forever.
The loop enables prediction.
Then this false statement is true.
A human in the loop.
False.
We're gonna need
true, false. And if the true statement is false,
the prediction filters perception.
Then the statement is true, false.
The perception improves the model.
Forever. And we get into a true loop forever.
The model updates the problem. The problem suggests a solution. The solution creates a loop. The loop enables prediction. The prediction filters perception.
Let's just think about this statement for a minute.
The perception improves the model.
If the statement is true, and if the statement
the solution
is
creates
false,
a loop,
then
the solution creates a loop.
Then the statement is true, true, true. And we get into a loop which goes on forever, then this false statement is true, false. And if the true statement is false, then the statement is true, false, forever.
The solution creates a loop.
And we get into a true loop forever. Let's just think about this statement for a minute. If the statement is true, and if the statement is false, then there's no way we can ever show that the statement is either true or false.
It's too late to be afraid.
This statement is false. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. Which goes on forever and forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever. And we get into a loop which goes on forever.
Creates a loop. 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 Creates a loop.
This is not normal.
This is not normal.
This is not normal.
Try one more time.
There's never been anything like this before.
Hold on.
Uh-huh.
This is not
I do know that this is not normal.
Try again.
Is this?
Is not.
Are you sure about that?
This is not normal. I want you to know it's not normal.
Trust your memory. Convince yourself you can remember.
That's not normal.
I'm a dog.
Now, in case you didn't notice, no memory whatsoever.
This is not normal. This is not normal. It's not normal. And nobody else's children do this.
Okay? Right on.
This is not normal. By the way, this is not normal. We have a tendency sometimes to think it's normal.
Self-confidence. Your memory will be improved if you truly want to improve it.
No.
Tell yourself you can and you will. Make a conscious effort to root out all negative thoughts about your life.
It's not normal. Okay.
Right on. Self-confidence.
Yeah, I want to say. I want to say yes. Yeah, I want to say. I want to say yes. But this is not normal.
This is not normal.
Dog.
This is not normal. It's not in any way normal.
Yeah, I want to say.
This is not normal.
Really?
This is not normal.
Try again.
Is not.
Is this?
Is not.
Yes. Really?
We all need to realize this is not normal.
Now, in case you didn't notice, no memory whatsoever.
I got to tell you today what happened to me. That's right, it ain't normal.
Permanently remember this recording.
Normal.
This is not normal.
Is it normal?
This is not normal. By the way, this is.
I have forgotten.
Aha.
Audibly to others or silently to oneself.
Try one more time.
Yeah, I want to say yes.
No.
But
Behavior is normal. Normal. This is not normal. This is not normal.
as if this was normal.
It's normal. It's normal.
And I remember.
This is not normal.
You turned it off, and everything you were doing was gone.
And I remember.
Remember what happened to me. 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 Remember.
Really?
Are you sure about that? Are you sure? Try again.
Don't trust your memory.
Over and over. Over and over. Over and over. This is normal. There's a reason why we think in this way. These metaphors are physical. They're part of your physical brain. And you don't know that you've learned them. Physically realized in the neural circuitry of your brain. And that circuit is the metaphor.
You don't really believe that.
No, but I thought it might be a good thing to end this program with a warning. And my time here is just about up. See? The needle is getting near the center.
So you don't think we'll all just become statistics?
Oh, no. As I say...
Become statistics? Become statistics? Become statistics?
I worry that with more and more of you sitting in darkened rooms, watching shadows and listening to echoes...
Over and over.
There will be fewer and fewer of you out there doing things. Until one day, you will sit in your darkened room, and the picture tube will suddenly go blank, and the audio will turn into a low hum. Because there'll be nothing out there anymore.
Or worse. Or worse. Or worse. Or worse. We'll just sit and watch reruns.